For our Romero Britto self-portraits, let's do a little bit of practice together today to help us get started and feel more confident on completing our piece. I'm going to show you a few tricks for drawing different facial features and how Romero Britto breaks up his paper. You should practice drawing these in your sketchbook. So grab your sketchbook and a pencil and let's do some practice together. Well, you'll get started in your sketchbook. I'm going to draw on bigger paper to try to help you with some of your drawings. So for my final piece here, let's look at the face. Everything's drawn pretty simplistic. You don't have to worry about all of the individual fine details of each of these features. One thing we noticed in a lot of Romero Britto's portraits was this using the eyebrow to the nose down through the mouth to break the face in half. It's a little hard to see, but I did color this in 2 different colors, and that was something we saw a lot in his work as well. My camera just doesn't quite show. It's a little more subtle to show on my camera. So that's one thing, and that kind of has that cubism-esque style where we would see the facial features in from all different perspectives or angles, because he's showing the nose from the side, which is a pretty easy way to draw a nose. I'll show you the basic way to draw an eye, and then you can practice drawing your hair and adding in some of the details. He does lots of circles for rosy cheeks, lots of hearts. Remember, he's really putting out this joyous, happy hope and optimism in his work. One thing we also noticed in the portraits was how he broke the hair into lots of different strands and would use lots of similar colors in coloring them, and even created further patterns and designs in some strands of hair. So the face shape is probably one of the trickier parts to get started. But your basic face shape is a circle with kind of a chin attached to the bottom. So a nice oval shape works well too. The best thing you can do is really start off very lightly with your pencil. Leave yourself room to make a mistake and to draw plenty of lines until you get the line that you like. From there, you'll darken that line by choosing the ones that you think are correct. I'll go ahead and do that in my dark marker here. And I know I'm going to cut my hair into my face shape, so I'll just go ahead and mark that like that too. And then, because I've drawn everything really lightly with my pencil, just a quick eraser across the top gets rid of those lines I don't like. The sooner that you get more confident with using varying pressure with your pencil, then you'll be able to draw things out and remove the lines that you don't like very easily. Next, your neck is going to come down. Now, technically on like features, the neckline is kind of on the outside of where the eyes are, but we don't have to focus on that too much. And then we'll turn. Okay, no one's shoulders go straight out. There is a gentle slope outwards, and then we'll bring down the shoulders. So just very basic. So lines kind of sloping down and then again sloping down. Okay, that's giving us a great basic shape for our face here. Our eyes, we're going to put just above the middle part of our face here. We'll make a little line for where our nose will duck down and where our lips are going to go. So really you think about breaking this into fifths, 5 equal layers. We won't use this top layer here. But these other ones are going to help us mark where our facial features will go. And this does not have to line up perfectly at all. These are not realistic portraits. When I draw an eye, I start with the pupil, the circle in the center. Then I mark 2 lines for the outside, for where my eye is going to come together. And then I create the lines that curve up, go across the top of my circle, and come back down. And then I do that along the bottom as well. Okay, from there, your eye is like it's a full ball inside your head. So we can create some curved lines that match the curve of our pupil in the middle on the outside, and then we can create a nice arc for an upper eyelid. So then I'll plot that in. Okay, the inside part of our eye, I'm going to achieve with 2 circles. First, in the upper right-hand corner, I'm going to put a small circle. And then in the center part was the rest of the circle. So my small circle sits on top. And I color that in black. So that little small circle just gives that like little reflection of the lights, and that just that helps me to create that. So already on this I can see as I'm showing you that I made my eye really, really big. If I put another one here, it'd have to be so close. So this already is not working, but that's okay because I'm just trying to demonstrate with you some of the basic shapes. So we'll make it work. Okay, then your eyebrow matches mostly the arc of your eye and kind of goes from corner to corner. So Romero Britto usually drew his as a shape that he would color in. It's not individual pieces here. And let's go ahead and look at how he would do the nose. So I'm going to put a little dashed line here because he's breaking up the face cubism style. So it's going to come down. Remember, I'm using this line for my nose. So it comes out from the eyebrow and down. And then just a simple curve out for a nose. Now, when you're making yours, you can try to keep, try to see what does my eye look like? What does my nose look like? How big is the curve along my nose? Because that's one space where you can change the shape a little bit to help make it look a little more like you. This line is for my mouth. Everyone's lips are a little bit differently shaped. But some of the basics are that we all have a top lip that looks like a mountain, right? And this is where Britto would bring that line down. Remember, we're sectioning off this portion so we can do that dual color in the way that he does. Okay, and the bottom lip has some shape to it, but that shape kind of varies from person to person. So it might be one curve down. You might have more of a little bump there on your bottom lip, so you have to kind of look to see what does that lip line look like. Trying to capture the shape of your own lips is another way to make this look catered more to you specifically as your self-portrait. And then I'm just going to create another kind of mountain line. It matches this top one without as severe or high peak. You see it has a little dip there too. So that helps break my lips into two, a top lip and a bottom lip. And then I bring that line all the way down. So here's where I would have made this a little smaller and have a matching eye over there. But I'm going to leave that be for the moment and keep moving forward. He likes to use hearts on cheeks where he would show the rosy glow. So you could do that on both sides. You could also use that rosy glow circle for helping to create that very flushed face, happy feeling. Then for your hair, I would first create the outline of the shape that you want for your hair, and then go in and add some additional lines to break it into kind of some very chunky strands of hair so you can have some different color differentiation in your hair. Not all of our hair is going to look like that though. You might decide, hey, I've got short hair and let me create my hair shape, and then I'm going to put a pattern in my hair, romero britto style. Okay, so I don't want you to feel like you're stuck into making your hair look any certain particular way either. You can use it as an opportunity to add some more details to your work. Okay, so just adding in those details. We'll pretend as though I finished that all the way because I want to show you one last thing in creating your piece. The next is to break up the backgrounds. And you can do that just with adding a number of different lines behind that break up the space. And if you feel like any certain segment is too big, go ahead and break it down again. You can work however you want to break this space for your background, but there should be a number of different segments for all the different patterns in your background. So I've created 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 different spaces to put a pattern in. On this one, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, there's not really a wrong answer here as long as I'd say, you know, at least 6 different segments to your background. You can see I broke it into 9 and they're still really big chunks here. So that's why these, you can see I made them just a little bit smaller. And then in each one, you're doing your patterns. So any of the ones that you've practiced, you know, maybe here you create a pattern out of something that tells me about you as a way of making this your self-portrait. You're adding maybe some representative details about you. So do I make a pattern here out of paintbrushes to represent art? Okay, so I can keep filling those in. So use your basic lines to create patterns. Use your basic shapes. You see, all of them are quite larger. Nothing isn't with too fine or neat detail. You like those flower shapes, the circles, the stripes. So look to some of Romero Britto's work for some of his inspiration for the patterns that you create. Remember, once you draw yours out, you're going to go ahead and take your Sharpie and go back in, draw over the lines before you move on to coloring. When you're coloring, I recommend utilizing your markers because you'll get a nice solid color space and you'll be able to really have bright, bold colors. If you have other markers at home, you're welcome to get those out and use them. If you have other art supplies at home, this is a project that I'm okay with you experimenting with. You're not being graded on your use of materials for this project, so that leaves you open to really explore what you think is the best medium for the different colors you want to do. You can even use a combination of different art medium for your piece as well. Just make sure your colors are bright and bold, that they fully fill in your space, and that your piece is colored in all the way. I got one more eye to make here to finish up this play around sketch. If you have any questions, send me a message. Take your time, go back, rewind, practice drawing your eyes, your nose, your different features a number of different times before you get started on your final piece. Remember to try to include those details to make this portrait specific to you. So after you practice the general idea, I showed you how to make some features. Remember, you can create your own that more specifically look like you. Take your time to do your nicest, neatest work in your practice. That will help you feel more confident that you'll do your nicest, neatest work on your final portrait. Tomorrow, you'll begin your final portrait. You'll take the practice that you did, your patterns, your facial features, and you'll begin to draw your own portrait. Here's a few reminders to help you be successful. Number 1, fill your paper with your head. You can see that fills a large portion of my paper. It's a self-portrait. You should be the focal point, that focus, that center piece of the work. That means you need to make it the size to be the focal point. So from my shirt up to the top of my bun here almost fills the entire paper. If you draw your head this big, it's going to really be hard to fill your features in. So take your time to make your head nice and big. Okay, my head fills almost 2/3 of my paper here if you include my hair into that. So make your face about the length of half of your paper. Maybe getting out a ruler will help you do that. Okay, your paper is 12 inches tall. So go ahead and decide where on your paper you might make your head and use a ruler to mark, right at the end and then to 6 inches here. And then from there, create that rounded oval or that circle, bringing the chin down. Try to capture your own face shape. All of our faces are shaped a little differently too. Remember to practice really lightly with your pencil. Your eraser is your friend. And then once you like the lines that you made, you can erase everything else. You can even leave your sketch lines for a while. When you trace everything with your permanent marker, your Sharpie, then you can go back and erase those additional pencil details before you move on to creating your background and your patterns. I cannot wait to see your self-portraits. I hope you really take the time to make it really nice because it's about you. So do your really nice best work to really represent you in the best way possible. Have fun making your self-portraits. I hope that they're bright and expressive and really represent you in a really positive way. And that your art puts out some hope and happiness and optimism in the same way that Romero Britto's does.